Welcome, everyone, to the 15th Vegan Convergence of the People, VCOP 15. I'm Allison Hamji with Climate Healers, and I'm here to introduce Liz Gary. So ring a ship's bell. Liz is going to share her TOFU Butchery Fresh Cuts technique for creating an incredibly versatile, white, flaky, fishless fillet. And then she'll demonstrate how to build a beautiful vegan poke bowl. The catch of the day, organic tofu and seedless watermelon. Both recipes are from her upcoming book, Black Belt in Tofu. Today's plant-based, protein-rich alternative to meat, seafood, eggs, and dairy. Okay, Liz, let's go.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. I'm so lucky to be a part of the Million Vegan Grandmothers because I've made some of the best friends. And Allison is one of them. You know, one of the reasons we're here today is to really share concepts to help our communities go vegan. And Allison has been a real inspiration and leader in that, helping her community in Lima, Peru with vegan meals, free to the community, and supporting people that have the skills and talent to get the message out there. So that's what it's all about. It's about sharing the message. And I'm so glad to share with you today. Can I get a share screen opportunity to do a couple slides with you? Let's see, I'm going to try share screen here. Am I all good to go? Share. All right. Am I good here? Awesome. Okay, well, I've been a vegan for about 12 years, 13 years, and I've been a foods educator for many years, but I worked in traditional food. As a matter of fact, I was even an educational consultant for the California Egg Commission before I knew how eggs were made, and I went to schools all over Southern California during the incredible Edible Egg campaign to get kids to eat more eggs. And now I'm showing them everything I used to do with eggs, I can pretty much do with tofu. So I got out of the food business and worked in education as a college recruiter and grant manager for 10 years. But my son came home with a vegan girlfriend, and I almost went vegan overnight and decided I needed to get back into the food business again. So during COVID, I had been in our schools leading vegan cooking clubs, and I wrote about 8 vegan high school cooking club cookbooks. I wrote a church, vegan nights in the church kitchen recipe collection. I wrote a vegan fashion week LA collection. I was doing all sorts of recipe collections, but I found that my files were too big and I didn't know what I was doing. So I went back to school and got a certificate in digital media. So now this cookbook in the publishing pipeline has been years in the making, but I've developed every recipe. I wrote the recipes. I did all the food photography, and now I'm doing all the publishing layout for it as well. And it's kind of fun. So I did have a background in tofu. We had a soy dairy here in San Diego for a few years, and I did some consulting with them. And this tofu was so exceptional. It was a Japanese tofu, and the soy milk, the organic soy milk, was curdled with nigari, or the minerals from seawater. And then it came in different levels of firmness, soft, firm, extra firm. But it's really rare to find. It's hard to find nigari tofu. Most tofu is curdled today with calcium sulfate, which is a food-grade gypsum. And you need to press that tofu. So anyway, I have had lots of experience working with tofu and developing it. And I believe that every city should have a soy dairy. It is an outstanding business concept. With schools about to add soy milk to their menus, lots of opportunity. And the versatility is so incredible. So soy just happens to be one of the most abundant food crops on earth. The United States used to be a leader in producing soy, but Brazil has now taken that title. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, that's the Amazon being cut away to grow soy. Unfortunately, most of it's GMO. And the majority of it is grown to feed animals. We're using all this land and growing all this soy to feed animals to make milk and meat when, oh, guess what? You can grow the soy, make it organic, and turn it straight into milk and meat. So that's what my goal is with this book, is to go out and talk to business leaders and soy producers. And I promised the million vegan grandmothers that will dedicate part of the proceeds from my book to help farmers go to organic soy farming. So here we go. Who's eating our soy? Cows are eating our soy. Pigs are eating our soy. Chickens are eating our soy. And even fish eat soy. Aquacultured fish are fed soy. Not all of them, I don't know, I can't confirm that, but soy, because it's one of nature's most complete food sources, is one of the most nutritious foods to raise these creatures, to turn them into milk and meat and flesh and eggs and everything. So it's just so exciting and fun to be able to have a food product that is so versatile and so nutritious. But let's not feed the animals to make milk and meat. Let's grow the soy, make it organic, and turn it into milk and meat. So soy, there are all kinds of rumors. I know people have objections to soy, but the truth is that there have been people eating soy for thousands of years, and proven, the China study, and in Asia, where people don't have the breast cancer and colon cancer and heart disease and diabetes like we have, up until they started introducing the Western diet. But it's been proven to be a healthful food source that is beneficial to your health, and you don't need to worry about the phytoestrogens. We need to get out into our schools and talk about soy just kind of the same way they had me doing it for the Egg Commission. The eggs had been studied and people were complaining about the cholesterol in eggs, so they went out and did an information campaign. And I understand it's all about business, but we have a business here, and that is to provide people with the best information we can and help them understand that soy is a nutritious food source. And if you're not going to eat the soy, you're eating it if you're eating meat and milk anyway, because the animals are eating the soy and they are the middleman, just converting that energy into flesh and milk. So my book, Black Belt in Tofu, is divided up into sections. There's an introductory section with about all the facts about soy and how it's made, and shopping for the different types. And I have a section called Fresh Cuts TOFU Butchery. And I've developed all kinds of awesome techniques, and I'm going to show you a couple of them today. These are the pages with some of the seafood techniques on them. Scallops are simple. You just take a small round cutter and punch out a little medallion. On the left page, on the bottom row, that is my tuna cut. Oh, I make a tuna salad that's out of this world. You chisel cut a nice block of tofu, and then you use a masher to mash it up, and then you mix in all of your vegan ingredients to make a tuna salad. The middle picture is my clam cut. And what I do is I combine, again, a super fine chisel cut of tofu with the oyster mushrooms cut up into it, and it makes a beautiful clam chowder. Then on the bottom left, I have the quick and easy fillet, fish fillet sandwich cut. That is just a fringe cut triangle. I'm still playing around with my technique for this fishless fillet. Sometimes it takes multiple attempts to nail it, but I'm hammering it in pretty good right now. And the page on the right will be the technique I'm going to demonstrate for you here. It is a white, flaky fishless fillet. The second row on the bottom is a red, flaky fishless fillet. I was inspired by a mahi-mahi recipe for that one. So I'm going to cover that technique with you in just a second. Here's the recipe. If you want to take a quick screenshot, you've got it. This is the basic white, flaky fishless fillet. And I'm telling you, any chef anywhere can do this, and imagine the profit margins. Organic tofu is about $1.69 a pound. What is halibut or swordfish? I think it's up into $20+ a pound. Well, when we go on a break between recipes, I'd like you all, or maybe you can do it now, go ahead and Google a fish recipe, any fish recipe, and let's veganize it. I'd love to hear from you, and we'll veganize a recipe together. Because once you've got the technique down, you can veganize just about any fish recipe. I'm also going to be sharing a vegan poke bowl. We're going to have a vegan poke bowl, build your own poke bowl party right here. I'm going to show you how it's done. This is also a super awesome concept for restaurants, especially those that serve things like acai bowls. There's an acai place at the bottom of the hill where I live here, and I could just sit there and watch them all day. They build the most beautiful poke bowls with all sorts of cut fruit and sprinkled with granola and coconut shavings and everything. And I thought, well, why not double your business and spend your afternoons making poke bowls? So there is a poke restaurant down the street from here, but it's not vegan. I think this is also a great concept for a restaurant, and it's cost effective. And the protein in this dish is from a teriyaki tofu, but the fish is actually the marinated watermelon. So I slipped this one in the book. The protein there is from the tofu, but we're getting the flavor and the beautiful red color from the watermelon, the catch of the day here in this recipe. So my seafood section I call the turquoise belt. And believe it or not, this book is going to have a final exam where you can earn your own black belt in tofu and pass the exam. It's got a listing of different culinary competition ideas and concepts for sharing recipes in your community. And believe it or not, the Guinness Book of World Records, the vegan category, is pretty new and wide open. So I'm out there building the biggest vegan sub sandwich and the biggest vegan brat and having holiday cookie bake-a-thons. And I've got lots of ideas in my book for people to share these community events and get people taste testing and involved and enjoying the art of vegan cooking. So here comes some of the recipes in my book. I've got a vegan ceviche. Originally, I learned how to do this. I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish, and I used to go down to Ensenada, Mexico, and studied Spanish just south of the border here, about 2 hours, in a fishing town. And the señora de la casa of our house made this ceviche for me with dried, textured soy. And she told me it was considered to be a poor man's ceviche. And I told her, well, now it's risen to heights of culinary greatness because you can have ceviche. It's so easy. I mix pico de gallo with either the rehydrated soy or tofu, finely crumbled, lots of lime juice, and serve it with some chips, maybe some adobe cream on the side, chipotle cream, and you have it all again. And it's protein rich, and it leaves you satisfied. It's yummy. So Baja, Mexico is also known for their fish tacos. There's someone here in San Diego, maybe some of you have heard of Ralph Rubio. He made fish tacos famous. He went down to San Felipe, which is about 3 hours south of the border here, and tried his first fish taco. And he came back up here to San Diego and opened up a chain of vegan fish taco restaurants. So I want Ralph Rubio to know that we can have no fish tacos. I was down in Tijuana, which is just 30 minutes away from here, believe it or not. I used to ride my bicycle into Mexico and go down there to eat. It's that close. Their food down there is fantastic. And you know what? It makes my heart soar when I go down there and see the food, because they are going vegan and get it just as much as we do, maybe even more, because their Veggie Fest down there in Tijuana a few years ago was bigger than anything I'd ever seen. I was so impressed. And the chefs that showed up for their culinary demos, they were treated like rock stars. There were women holding their cell phones up with their cameras because they wanted to get images of these chefs that were sharing their recipes. And I did take a bus full of people down there and took them to the Veg Fest. It was quite a treat. And I'm so pleased to see people all around the world going vegan. with heart swell rates of enthusiasm. It's awesome. So this no fish taco can be made with tofu, and it's a beer battered thing. So you can grill it as well, and I've got that in my recipe, but no fish tacos are just incredible. And again, the profit margins, if you put this on your restaurant menu, are phenomenal. Remember, tofu, $1.69 a pound for organic tofu, when fish is, in the double digits, quite expensive and causing so much harm to our oceans. There's my no clam chowder, chisel cut tofu, a little bit of oyster mushrooms, a creamy non-dairy base, simmered with some potatoes and celery and onion, served with some warm sourdough bread. You can have it all again plant-based. Then the crab cakes. We saw crab cakes yesterday. This is another version of crab cakes. I love them. I got tofu in those as well with a remoulade sauce on the side. Then the quick and easy fishless fillet sandwich. What I do is I cut triangles, fringe cut them, use lots of lemon juice, grill them, and have a little tartar sauce on the side for the full fishless fillet sandwich experience. Then the tuna salad, you can make it into stuffed heirloom tomatoes, make a sandwich, makes a beautiful appetizer on cucumber rounds. Super easy to make and fresh and delicious. No tuna is required. Here is my blackened mahi-mahi with a mango salsa on coconut jasmine rice. It's extraordinary and delicious, and people keep asking for more. It was served with a side of grilled pineapple. It was delish. Then this is the Spanish paella cooked on the grill, with information on how to cook your paella on the grill. Now in Mexico down here, they have a paella, world's biggest paella contest. And at the Veggie Fest in Tijuana, they had a paella that was like this big. So they've got the world record down there so far, but I would love to see some paella, like chili cooking contests, do a paella cook-off. Lots of fun. And what I do is I use canopy cutters to make shapes of tofu that are hidden in that paella. So the tofu, again, serves as the protein. You can also mix in the vegan sausages. It's all about the saffron. It's all about having the right pan to cook your paella in. And then I use a wood chip smoker box on the grill to have that aromatic smell of the wood in the air and flavoring the paella as well. Then you've got your scallops. These are miso glazed scallops and on udon noodles, super yummy and easy. Find any scallop recipe online and veganize it. Just get your tofu and a canopy cutter and grill them up and use the seasonings, and there you have it. Again, what are scallops a pound? Probably $25 a pound, and you're here at $169 a pound. So this is another one, lemon herb tofu scallops on risotto with wilted spinach and some crispy leeks on top. You could just, you can eat that and be so happy. It's like sunshine in your mouth on a cold day, a nice warm bowl of lemony risotto with the protein in the scallops. It's good stuff. Then, of course, you can always make veggie sushi. And we have fun doing veggie sushi. I've done that in some classes. I teach Vegan Cooking 101 in our public libraries. And you know how I did that? I simply went into my local library, checked it out, saw that they had a kitchen, went to the head librarian and said, would you consider allowing us to teach vegan cooking classes in the library? And she said, well, I'm not so sure that that's going to go over very well. So if you can do the first event for free and show me there's interest, then we'll consider that. So I got a grant from Veg Fund and I got the license to screen Forks Over Knives. I wrote a bunch of food companies and reached out to some volunteers. And do you know what? We filled literally every seat in the community room in my local public library with food samples galore, question and answer session, screening of forks over knives. And from there, I started teaching a monthly vegan cooking class. Other libraries heard about it. Before you know it, I was at the PB library, I was at this library, that library, special events here and there. When COVID hit, of course, that all ended. It went dark for about 3 years, but I'm back in our libraries again and building more enthusiasm and lots of sponsorships and great food sampling experiences. People are coming and having a really good time, and it's such a good sign. People are hungry for this information, and we have venues out there that have funding that we need to leverage. Your libraries have funding for events. So I would suggest go to your local librarian and ask, what can you do to help provide a foods education program at our public library? Schools also have funding for after-school cooking programs, and I tapped into some of that funding for a few years, and I felt like a rock star. I tell people I'd get ready before the bell rang at school. I'd have fresh product, food samples, and a recipe set up for the kids to cook with me, and the bell would ring and I'd turn on the music and the kids would pour out of class and swarm around my table and just gobbling it up. They are hungry for change. They engaged in critical thinking. They gave their feedback on products. It was the new cool in school. And there's one of my cookbooks online, Lincoln High School Vegan Club Cookbook. If you want to Google that, you'll find one of our cookbooks. We did really neat projects. I would get more Veg Fund grants and go to the different schools and try to come up with a creative project to do an outreach event. And I went to Northgate Market, our Hispanic market, and I talked to the managers in the bakery. And I said, would you consider taking out the manteca de puerco in your pan dulce and switch it for a vegetable-based product? And manteca de puerco is pork lard, which is contained in all these beautiful, fun pastries. But they did it for me. I came up with funding to get 500 pastries made, and we took them to the school with vegan milk, non-dairy milks, and got to go during the lunch period where hundreds of kids, I would reach out to at least 500, they ate all those pastries. And again, the feedback is the kids are ready, they love it. We just need to give them access to it, and our schools are slow to do it. So we need to find other ways to get that information to them. I loved Suzanne's presentation, Hargrove, about getting into the classrooms. And I know we have to tiptoe around because you can't talk about animal agriculture. You have to do a soft sell. But you know what? The bottom line is, until we provide students with consumer education and they can make critical decisions about their food choices, until we train chefs in plant-based foods and build new curriculum for chef training programs, and until doctors are on board and trained in nutrition and standing up as advocates for the plant-based diet, we really just have an uphill battle. We can go around beating the drum all we want, but we need reform in K through 12 with consumer education. We need chefs to be trained in plant-based foods, and we need doctors to speak up for us, and we will win this game. So what I do is go in front of the school board once in a while. I've been in front of the community college board of trustees and asked for plant-based curriculum. They've said no a couple of times, but you know what? You just have to keep asking, because Jane Velez said it. She quoted Nelson Mandela, it feels impossible until it's done, right? So never give up. We're going to keep asking. We need new chef training programs, and we need kids to really know what they're doing. So I have a website. It's not fully built out yet. I'm hoping to get my book done. It's been, like I said, a work in progress for a long time. But maybe in the beginning of the new year would be a good time to launch it. And I will have information up on the website, but you have my email right here. to contact me. And I am so proud to be 1 in a million vegan grandmothers. So this group has been a real blessing. And my tofu book actually was born in my grandson's kindergarten class right there. I went in and did a whole presentation on tofu, and I had kids eating tofu on a stick and tofu brownies, and they just loved the story, and they always flag me down at school when they see me. When are we going to have more tofu lessons? I was actually working this book, Black Belt in Tofu, started as a school project. My goal was to go to every classroom and develop a recipe with each class in the school and compile the recipes for a tofu book called Tofu, the Ancient Superfood. And when COVID hit, that project got derailed. I was enrolled in my digital media program, and I went forward and developed my concept, Black Belt in Tofu. So I'm going to show you some recipes right now, and I'll come back to share my screen after. How do I stop the share? I'm going to come back and share I have some images about king tide at the end. So I live on the Point Loma Peninsula. I'll do one more. Whoops. There we go. Stop share. I live on the Point Loma Peninsula in San Diego. And down the hill from me right here is the bay. And right behind this concrete wall on the other side is the cliffs and the ocean. So, at the far end over here, we have the Cabrillo National Monument and the lighthouse. So we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. And I've been going down the hill. I check the tide calendars, and I go down and I photograph the tides when they come up. We just had a full moon, and guess what? My grandson came home and said, I was riding my bike with Pharaoh down the street, and the water was in the street again. So it's become a normal thing. As a matter of fact, they've put up permanent signs that say subject to flooding, because what happens is the water comes up through the pipes into the street, and it creates a lake in the street, and it gets pretty deep. So it's something else. Well, I'm going to fire up the temperature on this. I have a little electrical last minute challenge. Hopefully it'll go well. So I'm going to show you guys now the flaky fishless fillet. Does anybody have any questions for me yet, or any comments? You're all good?
We're all listening. Go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, so here is an organic package of tofu. It's from my local major grocer. And these tofus, you guys, when you work with them, they need to be pressed because they are quite soft, and you can squeeze out about 6 to 8 ounces of volume from this one block of tofu. So to make a fishless fillet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chunk and I'm going to cut it into thin slabs. And as I do that, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of nutritional yeast on it, and I add a little extra onion powder and garlic powder. What do you think the B12, or excuse me, I just gave it away. I add nutritional yeast to my meats and my fish because it covers our B12 need. So fish has B12 in it, and now we've got B12 in our tofu fish. So I cut thin slabs, stack them up, and then I'm going to put them in a press. And if you don't have a press, I have a technique for you that is second to best. It's best to have a tofu press. I say, you got a can opener. Every kitchen has a can opener. Every kitchen should have a tofu press. So I have a fancy tofu press, but you know what? Last minute, it fell on the floor and it lost one of its arms. So I'm going to have to do a little MacGyver on it to show you how it really works. But I looked it up, and I can get another one at Williams Sonoma. You order it online. They're about $50, these bad boys right here. But this is the best one ever. I got this one. You all know the Spork sisters of LA with their Spork cookbook, and they've got a new restaurant called Sunshine Kitchen, I think. Those girls are awesome. I got to go to their culinary lab in, I think it was West Hollywood, and they talked me into this tofu press. And I was like, I use a Japanese tofu that doesn't need pressing, but I'm glad I got it because when San Diego Soy Dairy went out of business, I had to resort to all these tofus that need to be pressed. And now it's an essential tool in my kitchen because it's not easy to get the firm, ultra firm tofus. So what I'm going to do now is cut this in half to make 2 fillets. Okay. And I'm going to fringe cut the sides. So I'm going to fringe cut, not going all the way through to the center, but almost. And I fringe cut both sides to resemble flaky fish. And the nice thing about this too is it helps the marinade when you pour on the lemon juice and everything to seep through it pretty well. So you take your stack, believe it or not, once this is finished pressing, it'll be about 3/4 or half the thickness. So it's like a big slab of swordfish or a big slab of halibut, right? A big slab of white flaky fish. Now I challenge you all, open up another window on your computer and Google any fish recipe. What I found is most grilled fish recipes are quite simple. There's vegan. Let's see how my brain works. There's butter, oils, herbs, seasonings, condiments like soy sauce, miso, little brown sugar, lime juice, lemon juice. My grocery store up the hill from me here, they have a fish recipe, like they do fish Fridays or something. And so there are a lot of fish recipes that come into my inbox. Whoops, I kind of messed that one up a little bit. So I get all these fish recipes in my inbox and I looked at them and I thought, you know what, these recipes are so simple and I can create the same flavor and same concept by just using my pressed tofu fishless fillet. So you put the lid on this and then you have to use the spring-loaded press and you put it in the refrigerator. And I think it's best to really press it for several hours because once you press it for several hours, it will stick together and your fillet will just stick together. And I have a pressed one that I'm going to cook with right here. So I'm going to move this one out of the way. What happened is I dropped it and this arm fell, so I have to tie it and MacGyver it in order to get it to work. But I'm not going to struggle with this in front of you guys right now because it's going to have to press for hours before it's just right. But my family will get to look forward to that later. So I will switch over here and show you the pressed fillet. Okay, so once it's pressed, it holds together pretty well. See, and they will be different thicknesses. Don't use an extra firm tofu for this because the extra firm tofus will be a little drier. What you want to do is use a firm tofu, and many of these are made with calcium sulfate. So some of them are a combination of magnesium chloride and calcium sulfate, which is the food grade gypsum and the nigari, excuse me. So, if you don't have a tofu press, here's an alternative. These are called silpat mats. They're just nonstick mats. And what you need to do is have a lipped tray, because remember, when you squeeze these things and press them, there's going to be liquid that comes out of them. So you would put your tofu stacks on the tray like this, put the silpat mats, sandwich them in, and then put a second tray on top and weight it down for several hours. Now, it works, but you don't get that boxed, nice shape that comes with keeping it in the box. It can smash out on the sides a little bit, but it's an alternative. So you can use trays, plates, books, whatever you got to stack and use some pressure to get those to come together. So I'm going to use just a simple lemon butter. Now I know some people are trying to go all oil free, and that's great. You can saute this in a little bit of vegetable broth. And you know what I would do is add just a little bit of maple syrup to get it to brown nicely. but I trade in my nuts because I like the crispiness of a little bit of butter in the olive oil. So instead of using a whole bunch of nuts in my cooking, and quite often in the whole food plant-based diet, you've got nut coatings and nut dressings and sesame tahini by the cupful. So just a teaspoon or two. I mixed up my magic elixir right here, you guys. It is lemon juice, a little bit of Miyoko's. If you're going to use butter, use Miyoko's because this is the finest stuff. It's made with cashews and coconut oil. I used organic olive oil. And then I put some chopped fresh parsley, flat leaf parsley, a lot of dill. You can put a little caper brine in here, some capers, a little bit of Dijon mustard, a little bit of the maple syrup. Maple syrup does a beautiful job, just a hint of it, to brown your tofu. So what I'm going to do is pour a little bit of this on the grill and get my tofu on there. Oh, guess what? I go to the meat counter at my grocery store and I find some of the most awesome seasonings. This is a lemon pepper from Scott's, and Scott's is a company in Los Angeles. I need to get a hold of them because I absolutely love their lemon pepper. Just sprinkle it on me. I'm loving this stuff so much. Oh, I also have a little garlic in there. So we're going to brown that on all sides, seasoned on all sides, browned on all sides, and pour a little bit more of the lemon elixir on there, lemon garlic. You can also marinate these. Go ahead and marinate them. But anybody have any luck finding a fish recipe that you can veganize for me? Traditional fish recipe online. If you don't do it now, I encourage you all to try it sometime. Google any fish recipe and let's veganize it. Just replace the fish with your flaky tofu fillet, and then replace your butter with the vegan butter, and then the rest of the ingredients are all the same. You've got fresh herbs and condiments and things that are vegan safe. So it's pretty awesome. So this is going to grill for a while, and while that's happening, I guess I'll tell you a little bit about my my poke bowl. So let me clear this out of the way. I'm going to need this, that, and this. So the poke bowl is made with all kinds of awesome fresh produce. You guys, you start off with your watermelon and you marinate it with a combination of soy sauce, tamari, rice vinegar, a little tiny bit of sesame oil, some fresh ginger, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of agave. And here's another one of my favorite seasonings. This stuff is like magic fairy dust. It's called Toomey's seasoning. And I went to school with the Toomey brothers. They're right here from Point Loma High School. And they have a restaurant. Believe it or not, it's a steak restaurant up in Mammoth Mountain. And I have yet to reach out to them. I'm preparing some recipes to share with them because I have a vegan filet mignon that I want to take to them and show them how I'm using their product and all kinds of good stuff. So I have my hot grill over here is not staying hot, unfortunately, but it's cooking a little bit. Technical issues. Let me see if I can flip the switch over here real quick. There we go. So, okay, so that's cooking up. You can see it's starting to get brown a little bit, or maybe you can't, but I'm going to serve it with a little bit of fresh dill, a little squeeze of lemon. And when I take a bite into this thing, it flakes just like flaky fish. And it's really tasty. So it's all about the seasonings. It's all about the stuff you put on to make it right. Okay, so what I did with this assortment of veggies for the poke bowl, you start with your watermelon, And I've prepared on ice right here. Ta-da! We're gonna have a poke bowl party. Look at this, you guys. I got all these dishes. I got fun dishes from garage sales and hand-me-downs. And these are not real shells, they're fake. But I put my poke on ice and put it in a bowl. So it's kind of like, gives you the feel of seafood. We're going to celebrate sea life here and have a poke bowl party. So I'm going to set that aside. The watermelon has been marinated again in the rice vinegar, the tamari, the ginger, a little bit of sriracha, sesame oil, and while that was marinating, I cooked up some rice. I made some coconut jasmine rice, and it's made with coconut milk and a little bit of agave, a little bit of pink salt, and some Thai jasmine rice. And now coconut milk is an issue. I guess some farms are using monkeys to pick their coconuts. So hopefully this brand is not doing that. Field day. I've been warned not to use Thai coconuts because they're using monkeys to pull the coconuts down from the trees. That's not too cool. And then palm oil, we got so many different challenges in life and in culinary arts. So let's see. Oh, I'm going to clear this away, put it up here for a minute, and then bring down my remaining poke bowl treats. So I went ahead and prepared all the veggies. Check it out. Celebrating sea life. I've made a beautiful display of fresh veggies from my basket. So I've got cucumbers, radishes, a couple different colors of bell peppers, some jalapeno. This is the teriyaki tofu, some purple cabbage, fresh carrots, and some edamame. So you got almost every color in the rainbow, right? This is high octane fuel. What number is on the label on veggies? What's the first number on organic veggies? The little sticker that comes on our veggies. Anybody want to shout out what number it is? What's the number on your veggies to make sure it's organic? Number 9. Number 9. So I always tell that to kids. I'm a volunteer in my grandson's school garden. And I remind the kids, we take a look at the labels. And if it's got a 4 on it, it's been used, it's pesticides and all kinds of stuff, right? So if it's got a 9 on it, it's organic. It's the way nature made it. And that's what we want. We want number 9. Number 9, number 9. So I'm going to, flip this on its side a little bit and get it cooked on all sides. You can do any kind of side with this. The coconut rice would be good with this. I've got the recipe for the mango salsa on the red fish. I made the fish red with beet juice. So you just marinate it with a little beet juice. And I'm working right now on a lobster bisque where I'm going to take some of the tofu and I'm going to dip it in a little bit of beet juice with Old Bay seasoning in it. There is a vegan seafood stock out there, broth. And to be honest with you guys, I've never really been a big fan of fishy flavors and stuff. So I don't go big for the seaweed and the fishy flavors. I go for the dill and the seasonings that are normally in seafood that I like so much. So, but you can marinate some of your tofu in this vegan stock and make it taste like more fishy taste, if that's what you're after. If you freeze your tofu and then defrost it and squeeze the water out of it, it makes a really chewy texture and it soaks up marinade and seasoning like a sponge. I do that with chicken. I take the tofu and I freeze it, I defrost it, and then I marinate it in the vegan chicken stock. And then I grill it or fry it or whatever. And it tastes like chicken and it looks like chicken and it's so good. You can have it all again plant-based. Isn't it amazing? So to add to our build your own poke bar, so I've got my veggie tray You can do this for a party, you guys. I've got a little side of green onions and fresh cilantro all cut up in a little wooden fish bowl because we're celebrating, our friends, the fish. I used to have a dolphin ice mold. It would be fun to have a dolphin ice mold, and it's all in honor of our seafood. Fish are friends, not food. And of course, I have yet another fish platter with sliced avocado and limes and cilantro and everything. So it's kind of a build your own buffet. And another dish full of sesame seeds to sprinkle on top. So I do this kind of thing also for a build your own grilled cheese sandwich, vegan grilled cheese sandwich. It's so fun. I put out everything you could imagine that goes into grilled cheese, and you build your own grilled cheese. It's really fun. So I'm going to scoot this aside and bring up my fishless fillet and show you how flaky and wonderful it is. Okay, there's still probably some work that could be done on the shape of this, because one thing I've noticed is that when people see geometric shapes with their tofu, they go, oh, it's tofu. I don't know. So this is geometric shape, but when you cut into it, if you put it like salsa over it and some fresh herbs, you got to serve it with a little, dill on top and with a side of lemon. But wait until I take a bite of this and I show you. Once you start cutting into this and you take a bite, oh, it's got all of that yumminess there, and you cut into it, and then check it out. It is a flaky fishless fillet. It looks like fish. You cut into it, and it looks like fish. It looks like white flaky fish. So the possibilities are endless. I wish you were here. You would like this. I promise you would like this. I want you all to try it at home. I want you to knock it out of the ballpark. I want you to take this recipe idea to your local restaurants and show the chefs and say, hey, why don't you put a fishless fillet on your menu? Woo! Oh my gosh. I've served this at our family barbecues. My brother, he's not a vegan, won't be a vegan, but he loves my fishless fillet. So I made a big old pot of coconut rice, coconut jasmine rice right here. So you get your buffet all ready. We got the whole spread here. Now, one thing I don't have are fancy tongs, so I feel really tacky, like I'm not pulling it off right. But you get it, you've got some fancy tongs at home. You can pull out the fancy tongs. All right, you guys, I wish you were here. I'd have you all line up, get your plates, and we're going to go through the buffet. We're going to build our own poke bowl. So I got my bowl right here. Another one of my fancy shells for fun. And I'm going to just scoop up some of the coconut jasmine rice. Rice is ready to go. Okay, remember coconut milk and jasmine rice? Ooh la la, that is good stuff. Okay, then, pardon me for using my fingers. Let's see. Oh, I do have my tacky tongs. I will dig in and sort of do an arrangement here. I remember I learned a trick for going through the salad bar. When you can only go through the salad bar one time? What you got to do is you got to build a wall, like a fortress of sliced cucumbers or radishes, so that you can hold more food in there. So arrange your stuff, make it look pretty, a little bit of everything, of every color, because again, every color of the rainbow is what you're after in your diet, so that you're sure to get the vitamins and nutrients you need. And then the satisfaction of the protein from the tofu and the edamame. I just bought frozen edamame and sprinkle that on too. Whoops, that's a little hard to scoop with these tongs. I got it. But I got one runaway edamame, so I'll just have to eat that one. Yummy. Okay, so I got jalapeno, the teriyaki tofu, And I'm going to top it with my pokey. Oh, and the avocado slices. Hello, is this living? I'll tell you what, you guys, even though life is tough and we are faced with all these horrible challenges, we can't forget to have gratitude each day for the beautiful things that we do have and get to enjoy. And sometimes I just think about that. I think, wow, I have all the food I need today. I have shelter. I have a home. I'm very blessed. So count your blessings each day, and let's all continue to do what we can to help make the world a better place. And hopefully we will see that day come. It feels impossible until it's done, right? But we keep doing it. And we need to leverage our opportunities out there. There's funding in our libraries. There's funding in our schools. There's lots of opportunity. We need reform in education. We need chefs to provide more plant-based options. And our day will come. So ta-da. Don't you guys wish you could have a bite? I would love to share.
We do. Oh, Liz.
Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. No fish required, the catch of the day.
That's the watermelon?
Mhm.
Wow.
Watermelon with soy sauce and ginger and sesame, little sesame oil, all kinds of good stuff. And then just the crazy assortment of beautiful fresh vegetables, all of them organic. Thank you. Happiness. I wish you were here. Look, I made all this. It's a pokey party.
Oh, man. Hey, do you want to take a few questions?
Sure.
Okay. We got a few minutes,
Questions?
like 5 minutes. Anybody who has a question can raise their hand or put the question in the chat.
How's my time?
You have technically 8 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Oh, sorry, you guys. Woohoo!
No, go ahead. Enjoy.
I also have a couple more slides I can share with you for the King Tide.
I put the link for your website in the chat so people can just copy that.
And like I said, there's not much there, you guys. It's an address. When I get my book done, I will have some stuff going on there. I need to start loading up my schedule for the libraries. I teach 2 classes a month in our community libraries here, Pacific Beach and Point Loma. And I need to get those listed. But you know what? They fill up so fast. It's like, wow. They just posted the class and 30 people signed up and there are 15 people on the wait list. So, you know, we're good. We're good. I don't have to promote it. Very little. I do a little bit on San Diego vegans. I hope all of you are visiting your local city's vegan website and share there. You know, that's a good resource to have. And great place to meet people. I've met all of my friends through vegan cooking classes and vegan events. And so I've surrounded my life with vegan friends, and that is just the best feeling ever. We are a special group of people who are on the right side of history.
I think we have a question from Lisa. Lisa, go ahead. Ask your question.
Sure. Wow, I am just so impressed, Elizabeth. This is amazing. I loved all of your creations. I grew up in San Diego, and I go there frequently to visit my mom. I would love to connect, and I would also be very interested in inviting you to do one of your demos for In Defense of Animals for our Fish Day and also for Lobster Day. I think this would be so exciting and people would love it. So I would like to get in touch with you.
It's so good to meet you, Lisa. I'm so glad to connect with you. Of course. Thank you.
Oh, well, you're a true inspiration. So I'll find you on your website, and then we can connect up and make some plans.
Yes, good. Well, I'm the same Liz Gary that contacted you about the school milk project.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Well, we've got lots to talk about then.
We do. And I'm looking forward to it. I connected with Dotsie Bosch. She's all in support of it. So we need to just move forward with it and think about how we can do that. So
Perfect. We will do that for
Lisa,
all the projects.
what a blessing. See, what a blessing. Thank you.
A true blessing. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Shall I share my last slides here, King Tide, real quick?
Okay, you got 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes. Here we go. Where did it go?
There it is.
Is that it? No.
I see your recipe book.
No, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see. How do I get out of there? Stop share.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have my keynote thing here. Whoops. Escape. Yikes. I don't have my keyboard handy. Hold on, you guys. I have to escape that. Let's see what I can do. I have my mouse though. So let me get back to Zoom over here. And I'm going to share. No, that's not it. Zoom, where are you? There we go. Share screen. And interesting. I'm not seeing it up here. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So this is a drainage pipe down at the bottom, of the hill where I live. I used to go into that pipe as a kid with my childhood friends. We would go in there and we were very naughty. We'd take like cans of Christmas tree flocking and do graffiti on the inside of the pipe in there. But as you can see, when the tide gets high, that's my grandson. When these king tides come, it's like a tsunami. It goes way up and it goes way out. And this summer, we have high tides come at night in the summer, and in the winter, they're usually in the morning. So this was recent, and I was standing on top of the pipe, and I've been tracking the pipe for years now. And I stood on top of the pipe, and the water swirled up around my ankles. It finally crested the pipe. So it's the first I've seen in years. Here's our local neighborhood beach. It's here today and it's gone tomorrow. So there's a site called California King Tide Project, Snap the Tides, See the Future. And this is what we're looking at. If oceans continue to rise, we're going to lose our local beaches. And this is the street. I photoshopped that little boat in there, but let me tell you, there are windsurfers that have gone out on this lake. It's called Anchorage Lane, but we call it Anchorage Salt Lake during the high tides because the water comes up into the street and it floods the street. This is the other side of the street. This is at night. You can see where the yellow arrow is. You can see the water coming up into the street and then it completely floods. And it's about 2.5 or 3 feet deep in the middle. And then this is a regular day at the beach on the other side of me and back here. And the tide comes up. And what's happening is there's a lot of erosion. And we have accidents on the beach where people are laying on the beach and all of a sudden part of the cliff will collapse on them. My son lost some friends. His friend's wife and mother and sister were all sitting on the beach and they were crushed by eroding cliffs. This is the bottom of the stairs on the way to the beach. You can see that if the oceans continue to rise, we're going to be a ghost of the past. So anyway, that was it. That's all I had in there after all. So there's my contact information. And if anybody would like to get in touch with me, I'd be happy to talk some more about leveraging opportunities in your community, provide plant-based foods education programs in your schools, your churches, your community centers. It can be done and it's fun.
Thanks so much, Liz. Enjoy your poke bowl.
Yeah, my poke bowl. I'm going to get back to eating this poke bowl, you guys. So thank you for staying with me and watching my presentation today. It's been a pleasure. And I'm so inspired by all of the commitment and all of the fantastic people that are part of this program. And I'm so happy to be with the Million Vegan Grandmothers and meeting with you all and working together to create positive change. So cheers.
Thanks, Liz.
Cheers.